Right, all right, boys. This is the first time I've ever done anything like this at all. This is the first time I've ever publicly posted anything to social media to do with this, but I've kind of hit a breaking point with this, and I kind of want this to get out. This one is going out to all those absent dads, and I don't mean the ones that are absent by choice. I'm talking about the dads that are, 100% involved with their children and fighting very hard for their rights to actually be dad. I'm going to keep all names out of this so that I can kind of, keep some anonymity. I just kind of think this is something to be addressed, and there's some very large failures in the system here that I'd like to highlight and address. Not really sure what to say, and like I said, I've never done this before, so do please excuse me if either I ramble or just kind of space out from it, trying to gather my thoughts. There's a lot going on right now. There's a lot of different thoughts and a lot of different emotions rattling around inside my head, and it's kind of hard to gather them at the minute. Right, so a little bit of a backstory. I'm a 51-year-old father of 4 boys, 20, 16 and 5-year-old twins. I was married for approximately 14 years, and my marriage ended as a result of my wife having an affair and leaving me for said man. The way it worked out is the 2 older boys, because of their knowledge of the affair and their age, decided, they're staying with dear old dad. They couldn't stand it. We're very disappointed with mother after she left me for the man, she had an affair with. My 2 younger twins, they are twin boys. They were about a year old at the time. So obviously she did the usual thing where she ran off with the kids, and she's kind of got possession of them just because possession is 9/10 of the law kind of thing with kids. Right, so that's all right, in a fell swoop I managed to lose my wife, 2 of my children, my home and my business. As you would expect, my whole life just turned upside down instantly. And now here's where things get interesting. Now, my wife ended up, with the man she left me for, obviously. Ended up in a legitimate relationship with him, and she's still currently with him. Right. They've been together about possibly, 3.5 years. We've been divorced. I mean, we've been separated, 4 years. My twins are 5. She left when they were 1. Right, just to put that in perspective. So, right, well, here's where it starts getting really, 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 really messy. Right, now, I've always fought for my parenting time. I'm one of those dads, I've never missed a weekend. If you ask me if I want some extra time with my kids, it's always a yes. Can you have them an extra day? It's always a yes. So, I'm very actively involved in my children. Like I said, I already have 2 boys that live with me, 20 and 16. I am a dad, I have raised them. And I'm still fighting very hard to raise these 2 5-year-old twins. Now, obviously she's living with this man. I don't like him very much, which, considering the circumstances, I think is pretty reasonable. But I am definitely over the breakup. I'm in a really good relationship. The woman I'm with is an absolute diamond. She's beautiful to my kids. She loves me to death. She's just, let's just say I feel like I leveled up. All right, apart from having to deal with all the trauma of what fathers go through when their lives are just completely upended by someone who doesn't want to commit anymore. So anyhow, so I'm hardly jealous. I'm just, trying to put that in perspective. So the first stunt she pulls is the usual one. Immediately she moved my children 200 miles away from me. She up and left with the man she's with, and my children are currently 200 miles away from I am. Which, as you can say, pissed me the fuck off. I now pick up my children every Friday, drop them off every Sunday. 3 weekends out of every 4, which I actually admit is, for some fathers, quite generous. But like I said, I'm very involved with my children. So in order to have a relationship with my children, on top of my child support, I also have to spend approximately $300 a month in gas, which is just for the ride, which is 109 miles one way, pick up my kids, 109 miles the other way, bring them back to my home. So let's just say I'm on the road a lot. It's costing me a lot of money. It's really making things difficult. My biggest issue with the fact she's so far away is that now it's completely removed my ability to even interact with anything they want to do, say with school. I would love to go to a school play or something along the lines, but in order to do anything along those lines where they live, it's an 8-hour round trip. yeah, not as easy as it sounds when, you know, you're trying to run a business and still take care of your other 2 kids and work and, you know, do things that a busy person is doing. An 8-hour round trip to go see a school play is not exactly easy. And it's also bloody expensive, because what am I supposed to do? Go to a motel? You know, no, it's just ridiculousness. Anyway, now this is where it gets really messy. So, she's been with this man. Now my 5-year-old twins, of course, I've got my parenting time with them. And they informed me, hey, basically, I'm going to paraphrase, we are showering with mum's boyfriend and he's touching our penises. I am not going to lie, I fucking hit the roof. Excuse me, did you just say to me that your mother's boyfriend is showering naked with my 5-year-old twins, right, and he's touching their penises? All right, son, is that real? Say that again, yeah. I did record it, but unfortunately it's unadmissible as evidence. Or should I say, I have recorded them saying it. The first time I wasn't. I was fucking flabbergasted. This is going to get weirder. I swear to God, you guys are gonna be like, what the fuck, when you tell me what happens next. All right, so of course my shit hits the fan. I'm like, what the fuck is both my 5-year-old twins saying? They're showering with their mother's boyfriend naked. They're naked, he's naked, he's touching their penises, and they've seen his. All right, now they're describing this man's penis in detail. These are my boys, by the way, my children. This is their mother's boyfriend. What do you do? Right, 911. Hello, I'd like to speak to a police officer, please. My children have just told me some news that's making me want to explode. Again, excuse me for rambling, there's a lot going on inside my head right now. So, this is Memorial Day weekend. I can't talk to a lawyer till Tuesday morning. I've got my kids till Monday night. Well, fuck. Okay, what do I do? So, 911, make the phone call, speak to an officer, tell him what's going on. He's like, oh, all right, cool. Yeah, we'll get a hold of CPS. You know, this is definitely going to generate something. So, the call is logged. And that's the complaint. This man is, my children are saying that they're showering with their mother's boyfriend. That is the complaint. That's why I called the cops, right? Like any fucking sane man would, right? I'm sorry, who's showering with my children? Naked? Sorry, who's touching your penises? Sorry, I'm their father. I'm kind of not having fun with what you're telling me right now. Anyway, so of course, finally gets to the point. I mean, there are some other details involved, but I'm just kind of keeping the key elements here. So I talked to my lawyer on Tuesday morning. Of course, my lawyer is horrified. We put in what's called an emergency protection order, saying, you know, there's an immediate danger with these children because we need to verify whether or not these accusations are true. I mean, they are accusations. This is a man who is not their father. He's not a relative. This is the mother's boyfriend. I want to emphasize that. Who this man is. This is their mother's boyfriend. He's only been around 3 years. You know, we've only been divorced 4, right? I know this is sounding very sarcastic, but I'm actually just trying to deal with this in a way that I can tolerate. So there's me thinking, okay, well, let's take it to court. My smoking gun is going to be admission that this is true. Right, so now I do get a visit from CPS because the allegations are quite severe. They come in, they poke around, they ask me a couple of questions, they look at the house just to make sure it's nice, right? Yeah, fine. Now there's this guy, he tells me, okay, we're not going to interview the children because we don't do that kind of type of thing. You know, that has to go through the CAC, which is the Child Advocacy Centre. They are trained to ask questions to get information like this. So, you know, we don't do that type of interview. It's just not within our realm, within CPS. You know, we basically just kind of make sure things are all right, which is fair, I suppose. They've got a job to do, right? You're not going to like that answer, though, in a minute. Right. Anyway, so I come to the trial, which is only a few days later. I'm sitting there with my lawyer. I asked the question, pretty much. You know, I told them what the allegation is. This is why I called 911. I want to know if this man is showering with my twin boys, naked, touching their penises. Right, this is the allegation. I want to remind you what the allegation is. First fucking thing out of my ex-wife's mouth. Yes, Your Honour. My boyfriend has been showering with my boys, which are also my boys, naked for approximately 2 years now, nearly daily. It's been going on since they're about 3 years old. Now, I will emphasize that everything I state here is fully citable. It is on court record. You can pull the transcript. This is literally how it went down. I will not lie here. Everything I'm saying here, you can literally pull this report and just look at it, and everything I'm saying is happening. So I want you to imagine this is what I'm hearing. All right? This is dad talking about his little boys, want to know what mum's boyfriend's up to, and this is what I am actually hearing in a court of law. Okay? This is under oath. She's in the stand. Yes, my boyfriend has been showering with my children for approximately 2 years, fully naked. He's been actually teaching them about their penises. He gets involved. He's been pulling their foreskins back. He's been showing them, by example on his own penis, exactly how a penis works and all the intricacies of a penis. Right. He's doing this naked in the shower with my boys for 2 years, 2 entire years. Also, it's regularly. Now, what do I mean by regularly? Right, there's some stinky bastards out there. Regularly is once a week. Daily for 2 years. So let's just call that, I don't know, bullshit math. Even accounting for the time I've got them, let's call that approximately 600 counts of showering naked with my twin boys and touching their penises, right? This has been fully admitted in court. She's not even lying about this shit. My brain's fucking exploding. Oh my good God, smoking gun, we've got her. What the fucking hell is she doing letting this man get naked with my boys? Why in God's name is he touching their penises? Now let me just remind you, I am a father of 4. I have raised all 4 of my boys until she fucked off with this dude. I have been responsible for 4 boys' diaper changes. I've owned a penis for 51 years, so let's just say they don't need any assistance with, help with their penises. When they're with me, their hygiene's pretty fucking clean. So why the fuck is this man doing this in the shower? I've never needed to do it. The last time I ever was that close or intimate, I should say, with my child was when I was changing his fucking diaper, and that was so that I could wipe poo off his balls. Right? Every dad knows what I'm talking about. You get one of those exploders, your kid's covered in shit. That's to the extent I'm going to be touching my child's penis. And it's going to be purely because it's covered in shit and it's necessary. Yeah, every dad will tell you that. That's as far as it goes. No, on no fucking circumstances am I ever going to be getting naked with my twin boys in the shower and pulling back their foreskins and showing them how their penises work. I think I'm right in feeling that is not appropriate. These are my children. I wouldn't even do it. I wouldn't even let my older kids do it. Even if they came to me and said, "Hey Dad, can I have some help with my cup keeping clean? Can I ask my brother?" I'd be like, "Yeah, no, I'd rather you didn't." For something along these lines, basically the way I've always taught it and the way I bathe my kids is, as long as I can remember, I sit on the toilet, they sit in the tub, and anything they need help with, I can talk them through. The extent of my assistance with keeping them clean is going to be washing their hair and scrubbing their back, because that's something they can't do themselves. They're 5 fucking years old and they do not have learning disabilities. They do know how to bathe. So, this has come out in court. Absolute smoking gun. Nothing. It's fucking crickets, right? So I'm thinking, okay, well, what are the charges, man, for this man being lewd and indecent with my children for the last 2 fucking years, right? Now, as it turns out, this is going to blow your fucking mind. This is not illegal. Providing you can basically, this is the crux of it. Providing you can prove he's not getting sexual gratification out of it, this is entirely legal, so long as mum says it's okay. Well, it's not okay with dad. Dad is not comfortable, nor would have been comfortable if ever asked or given or asked for consent for his 2 5-year-old boys to start showering with their mother's boyfriend from the age of 3 daily while he manipulates their penis and keeps it clean for them. You would have got a hard fucking no, and probably a lot more for even trying to fucking ask. The fact that this is not illegal, I think, leaves a really awful grey area now. We all know how groomers work. We all know it is a thing. Now, basically, I'm being told by a court of law until we can prove that there's some sexual gratification thing or a little bit more going on. Now, here's my problem with this. How long does it take to learn to clean your penis? 2 years is over 700 days. Oh, it's 730 to be exact. Now, that's 2 years. So if they're doing this nearly every day, he's teaching my children how to clean their penis approximately 700 times. They're not mentally incompetent. They're normal kids. They You show them something 2 or 3 times, they're going to know how to do it, right? So why are you continuing to do this? Why is this fucking 2 years? Like, why are you still doing it? The only reason actually they even stopped is the judge said, you've got to stop doing this. This is inappropriate. I mean, he did acknowledge that. Yeah, no more of that. But now I'm wondering why there's no charges. I'm wondering why that both my rights as a parent have been violated, to say that one of the moral attributes that I would actually like to have instilled in my children as I'm raising them, as my right as a father to say, this is how I would like to raise my children, is number one, I would under no circumstances like my children to have been made familiar and comfortable showering with a grown man naked in the shower with him touching their penises, and gotten to the point where it's happened over 2 years till they're comfortable. That's not appropriate. I do not shower with my children. That is something that I do not want my children to experience. No, I do not want my children to grow up showering with grown men. I think that's reasonable. I most certainly don't want them to be comfortable doing it. I feel that mother's complacent in this and doesn't understand the dangers, which just makes me even more frustrated. So, that's I'm pissed off, number one, that basically a man who is not their father nor a relative, and by the way, this was neither with nor my knowledge nor consent, and I want to make that very clear, I am still their father. I still have legal rights. I didn't sign anything away. This other man's not adopted them. I'm fully 100% legally their father on paper, you know, and I do absolutely everything that my divorce allows to be as in their life as my divorce allows, and men know what I mean by that. So I'm definitely not around. Again, sorry for rambling. I've got a lot going on in my head at the minute, and I haven't slept in a week, obviously because of the stress of this. Now, so let's just say, first of all, the judicial system has let me down. They have left a loophole in the law where it is possible for a man to shower with another man's children in what I would consider a lewd, inappropriate manner for approximately 2 years, and it's not a crime. I do know if I walked off to a local playground and flashed my cock at a little girl for 1 second, I would be instantly picked up and chucked in the Jackson, you know, I'd be chucked in jail, right? Wouldn't it? It would be lewd and indecent, wouldn't it? Well, this man's been doing it to my children for 2 years, as far as I'm concerned. They have been flashed at. I'm very uncomfortable with this, as every man can understand. I don't know how to handle this. I did not want my children showering with another man. Just, yeah, you all know what I'm talking about. I'm actually just still kind of losing my mind over this a little bit. Now there is a failure. There is a failure with the system that's allowed a man to get close enough to children to do this. Now, he doesn't have to be doing anything sexual as far as I'm concerned. Just the fact that he is showering naked with my children I think should be enough to be not allowed. This is not, like I said, it's not their father. This is mother's boyfriend getting naked with 5-year-old children, starting from when they were 3 daily, and touching their penises. That's what this is. I don't care if there's any malicious intent behind it. This is not something I want my children doing. I am their fucking father. I think I have the right to be angry about this. And unfortunately, the law says I don't. Or at least I can be angry about it, but I can't do fuck all about it. Right. Now, here's my gripe number 2. Now, this one comes from Child Protective Services, and this one I feel is really important. And I'm actually wondering if there's any fathers out there that completely understand or have even had experience of this. As from what I can tell between communications between me and my lawyer, including emails from my ex-wife's lawyer. So this is what I'm reading in communication between my lawyer, my ex-wife's lawyer, and this case. It appears that what was said in the CPS report. Right, now, this is what happened when CPS came to my house, and then I'll tell you what was in the report, and I want to know if you've got an experience with this. CPS came to my house, an older gentleman and a young lady. They came into my house, they sat on my sofa, my kids were running around because they were with me at the moment because I hadn't given them back yet until I know what's going on. And they told me pretty much what they did. I told them what the allegation was. And then I said, I'm deeply uncomfortable as any man would be. I want to know basically if this is even, I want to know if this allegation is true. Is this man showering with my fucking children without my consent? Like, please please, I'm very worried. I'd like to know what you're going to do. Right. There's just CPS in my house. They sat in my house. We bullshit about all that for a minute. The lady briefly left the room with one of my children for probably about 45 seconds. He was just like showing her a toy in his bedroom. He wanted to show her like a Optimus Prime poster on the wall or some shit like that. You know what kids are like. I want to show you my shit, right? She was in there for no more than 45 seconds, where I remained in the room with the older gentleman and my other child. Next thing we did was got talking about the fact that I build props for a living. Or at least I have a small side company that makes movie props, and so showed him a couple of Star Wars lightsabers. We bullshit about that for a minute. Now, one of the key points this gentleman said to me, and this is very, very important, and I hope CPS is listening. He said to me, because of the type of allegation this is, because it is like inappropriate, it could be sexually in nature, like it could be potentially. We do not do those types of interviews. That is something that is reserved for the CAC, which is the Child Advocacy Centre, and I did mention this at the beginning of this video. We do not do those types of interviews. That is for a professional that is trained to answer those types of questions, because they know how to ask the right types of questions in order to get the information required for it to be valid in a court of law. The usual bullshit, basically, in layman's terms. We are not qualified to talk to them about this or get the information accurately or in a way that you could use in court. Professional needs to do it. Fair enough. They buggered off. Right. Now, we'll get back to the communication between my lawyer and her lawyer and what I'm reading in between. Now, if you read their conversation, according to CPS, this is actually what happened in their report. That they came out to my house and conducted interviews with both the children, and no indicators were found that the allegations were even there. Hang on a minute, my children weren't interviewed. And you even told me why they weren't interviewed. We do not recommend a CAC interview because they've already been interviewed, so, we found no indicators that you should just fucking drop it. Why waste your time? He shouldn't waste his time pursuing this. This is coming from fucking CPS, right? Now, please, I remind you, the first thing out of my ex-wife's mouth in court under oath was, yes, this is indeed happening, so allegation is confirmed true. Now, here's my question to you, CPS. If, let's say my ex-wife had, let's just say she had lied in the stand and said, no, this man doesn't like my boyfriend. These allegations are untrue. There's no way in hell, I'd be letting this man shower with my children. Let's just say she said that, right? Their report would have actually corroborated that. Their report would have actually made me look like a liar, because their report said interviews were conducted and no indicators were found. This basically shouldn't be pursued any further. The first line in fucking court was that it happened for 2 years. And he did indeed touch their penises a lot. And the only reason we know about this, by the way, is that my children told me. So if they hadn't have told me and I hadn't called 911, this would still be continuing without my knowledge. Just to put, again, that in some emphasis here, right? So, CPS, why, if the first allegation out of my ex-wife's mouth is founded and confirmed, did you say that you interviewed my children, no indicators were found, and not to pursue it? Is it because no interviews were conducted and you didn't fucking ask? Because that's literally the first thing she said was true. And again, if my ex-wife had lied, you guys would have lost. You would have dropped the fucking ball, mate. I don't even know how to put it. The only reason I'm stuttering right now is I'm trying not to cuss you out. I want to imagine a scenario, and this is where you other guys come in. I want to know if any of you other men out there have actually had this kind of bullshit with something like a CPS report. Has it cost you your kids? Like, CPS need to tighten their fucking net. They need to get their shit together, and I'm telling you this because I can say this openly and freely. This was confirmed in a court of law, under oath by my ex-wife, that this is indeed happening and has been for 2 years, intimately and regularly. If she had lied, CPS's report would have stated, and I am angry, yes, that 2 interviews with my children were conducted, and they didn't find anything. This guy, shouldn't pursue it. You get what I'm getting at? It's like I feel like I keep needing to say it, so it almost like sticks to the ears and the brain of the people that need to fucking hear this, like the people in power and authority that can control a man, you know, being potentially groomed in this manner. Please not let's forget there is such a thing as voyeurism. All that involves is actually just observing somebody for a sexual gratification. So voyeurism is actually, you know, voyeurism is the thing, especially with little boys. You know, don't actually have to even be touching them, yet this guy actually is actually making physical contact with their penises. Again, this is under oath in a court of law, so this is not slander, this is not libel. This man is, you know, or should I say my ex-wife has admitted in a court of law that this is indeed happening. Right. CPS. According to you, it's not. According to you, my children were interviewed, and it's not. How many times have you said this? How many times have you gone to a man's house when there's been serious allegations? Because these are serious allegations when you really put this into perspective. A man who is not a relative nor the parent, you know, I'm my father, has been showering naked with my children for the last 2 years and touching their penises without my permission or consent. This is serious. Unless I actually just don't have any fucking rights anymore, and neither do my children, because at 3 years old you can't fucking consent to that. That's why your mother's supposed to be smart and say, no, you cannot fucking shower with my children, you crazy person. No, you cannot help them. That's what their father is for. Catch my drift? CPS, you would have made me look like a liar. How many times have you done that? How many times have you said a report or submitted it into court, which is serious shit, by the way, this all counts, that says, we've interviewed these children and no indicators were found, please don't pursue this any further, when it's been happening? I would like an answer. And I would definitely like some feedback and some opinions from other men out there who are constantly fighting to be fathers for their children. Against their will. They have to fucking fight. I don't want to ask the question is, you know, I'm fighting for my children. That's a fucking given. I'm going to fight for my children. I'm going to do everything I can in my power to make sure that they are safe and protected and are raised in the way I want them to raise them. I want to know why I have to fight for this fucking right. I want to know why I have to fight the courts for simple things like I would rather men did not shower with my children. Why is this a fight? Why is this costing me thousands of fucking dollars? Just to say, please don't do that. Catch my drift? I'm not going to have this palmed off as a hygiene issue. This man has showered with my children 700 times. I don't know. I'm a little confused. I'm a little upset, as you can imagine. None of this is intended to be slanderous. Like I said, it's all court record. It's all public. You can pull a transcript if you want. I am just absolutely fucking flabbergasted right now, and I'm as tired as shit, and I am as angry as hell. So any feedback would be greatly appreciated. And yes, I am British. I am from South London. I emigrated to the United States, I would say 22 years ago, legally, yeah. I do still have my British accent. I am from South London. I am old school. I believe in respect. I ride a motorcycle. I ride a Harley, actually, you know, whatever. It's not important, it's just, that's who I am. I'm just a 51-year-old dad who rides a Harley, trying to keep in his kids' life, trying to have some semblance of say in how they're raised, trying to be with them as much as humanly possible, missing them crazy when they're not here. These are days I'm never getting back. Every day I miss with my children is a day I do not have with my children. And I know dads everywhere that will understand what I mean by that. This is all against my will. I feel lucky for what I do get. I wish I had more. And I wish there were certain protections in place to make sure that while my children are not with me, I can ensure their safety and well-being, and hoping the people around them are making sensible decisions. Thank you for listening. Signing off.